playoff bracket as a tank player. You know, he liked to play his Mundo, liked to play Shyvana, liked to play Trundle up in that top lane. Now that, you know, Ryze is off the table, Mundo is still currently available, as are all of those tanks. So what you've done is you've taken away his current power pick that he's performed well with, and he's going to fall back to another comfort pick, is what I'm anticipating and what I'm expecting. I still think Denial will be ready for that. I feel if you play Ryze a bunch of times, it gets banned out. You almost want that as a team. Hey, we've planned this, we want to do well with it in a few games. Force someone to ban, and then we can pull out something else that we're super comfortable and confident with.
If we'd have had more time with Dexter there in between game 1 and 2, I probably would have given him the follow-up that Ryze, he said Ryze is the new Mundo, then why don't you ban Ryze and leave the Mundo open? As it happens, they've banned out both of them this time around. On the other side, 2 jungle bans off towards Trashy. They already said the start of the game, Trashy's a big player in this one. Kha'Zix's leasing out. Thresh banned away as well. The picks are coming in, so I'm just going to skip straight to them. LeBlanc left open, first pick for Reason.
Now, I'm quite happy about this because what LeBlanc does in that middle lane is it forces you as the opponent to pick a champion that can deal with that assassin, that maybe has wave clear to keep her on the back foot, keep her out of your face. It's also a very difficult lane to gank. Because LeBlanc has got a silence, a root, a dash, and when she hits level 6, that all becomes doubled. It's a very... it's a more safe lane. I'm going to choose my words a bit more wisely. It's more safe for you in that middle lane. If Nick wants to run Nidalee again, there is kill threat. In a straight up 1v1, there is kill threat for LeBlanc if he plays it correctly. So I think that's smart. I do also think that Reason Gaming, they banned away LeBlanc last time because they didn't want to give it away as a potential first pick. But it also means Sencooks has to make it work. If he doesn't get a lead, doesn't get an advantage, it's a waste of first pick.
Well, we'll see here. Denial have got their first 2 picks as well. And I said, do they have to change anything here? And up till now, they're not. At least if that is a support Kayle once again. Kayle, Lucian, first 2 picks. Worked out nicely. Actually, I'm just talking rubbish. Onyx Lucian was on the other side last time. Good job, Joe. Sivir that they went last game.
Sivir, Kayle.
Okay, so they let me just forget everything I said and say, you know, change Sivir for Lucian.
To go back to it, yeah, when we've looked at Super Ace playing Kayle, his laning phase is terrible. It really is. There's very little pressure and presence that this Kayle has shown us in the 2 games that we've seen it thus far. However, in the mid game, in those team fights, it does become a lot more relevant and a lot more prevalent. The later the game goes, we actually seen some very good interventions, and I was a little bit more convinced by that pick. We'll see if Denial go for that same route this time around because they've struggled against Leona's. Leona's support is still available for Reason if they want to go that route.
So, other side then, Renekton. Where's Renekton been all our lives, at least in the last 2 days? Because Renekton obviously has had the change to his ultimate at lower levels, but also, I guess, all levels as well, because the higher it goes, the more he gets now.
So the brief summary, rank 1 and 2 for Dominus gives you a little bit less health, a little bit less damage, but rank 3 gives you more. Yeah. So it's weaker and early, stronger at late. The theory is to make Renekton scale a little bit more and make him less oppressive in the lane. Now, I don't feel that it's only the Dominus that makes him oppressive in the lane, but it is going to reduce the super safe tower dive power that Renekton offers you. We haven't seen it from the Challenger games just yet. There has been other top laners that have been played, and I'd like to see how well Beanzu plays this, because he was very aggressive last game with Irelia. He does display a tendency to get in your face, and Renekton is very good at getting in your face.
In your face. Trashy going to get Elise once again, and we'll skip over here to Denial because they've got that Nidalee again in this mid lane, but this time around they've actually picked up a Jax here for Babunia on the top side.
So another scaling top laner for Babunia. He's got a champion that is going to have an okay time against Renekton. Counter-Strike's going to do well, and assuming he gets ahead, he can do well.
Jax, though, could he go in the jungle with the item changes here?
Yes, he could. If he wanted to go for a Feral Flare, an on-hit Jax could actually do that. I don't know if it's going to happen. I feel like with Elise still up, I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see what Denial lock in. But yes, it is a possibility because all of these on-hit champions have been buffed by at least some of the sustain of that Feral Flare.
On the other side, Vayne, Karma, new bottom lane here for Reason Gaming.
So Vayne and Karma, once again, scaling champions. So what Reason have done is they've got some champions that are strong early, they've got some champions that are strong late. What I like about the Vayne Karma is you've got a lot of poke from Karma to help dissipate the weaker laning presence of that Vayne. So assuming that Barney D lands some good skill shots, he's got a shield, he's got a movement speed increase, and it can work very well with the Vayne. What you're also seeing is a lot of mobility here. Once again, you've got dashes, you've got dodges, you've got dives, you've got a built-in Talisman of Ascension in the hands of Barney D with that Karma. So I quite like the mobility. There's pick options for Reason, and I feel like their priority is to find a pick, blow him up with LeBlanc, Karma, Renekton, and then let Vayne clean up the team fight. We'll see if they can execute.
So, final pick was Xin Zhao, so we can forget the jungle jacks that I suggested in that one. Xin Zhao, we saw him yesterday. Actually, Denial felt him yesterday because Co played him absolutely incredibly well.
What I liked about the Xin Zhao yesterday is it was a very good counter against an all-in composition. There was a Jarvan in there was a Fizz in there was champions that needed to get in your face, and Xin Zhao just says, nope, do not want, and knocks them all away. Reason Gaming are a little bit less affected by that because assuming Trashy gets a good repel, assuming there's a good distortion from Senkooks, you can get away from those abilities. You can dodge that ability. So I feel it's a little less about his team fighting power and more about that on-hit aggressive jungle playstyle that we've come to expect. And I think Kikis, he likes to show that he wants to get in your face. He likes to play aggressively, and that is a good low-level ganking champion.
So we heard from Dexter just a little bit earlier on that first game of a best of 5, very much about scouting, very much about figuring out exactly how your opponent's going to play, what they've brought to this game. However, second game, you can't quite be as, I think loose is the right word there, because for Denial, they win that one, they're on game point, and Reason will have to win 3 games in a row. Yeah,
I agree with you. And I actually agree with the sentiment that the very first game in a best of 5 is somewhat less impactful. The one thing you do need to remember is it does give you momentum. It does give you some confidence. You know, playing in the series, you get that tiny buffer of safety. So now, Reason Gaming may have some information to work with, but Denial are sitting out with this safety buffer of, hey, we can lose a game, and it evens out. It makes it a best of 3 almost.
So here we go then into game number 2. It's Reason Gaming versus Denial. And as you see at the top, Denial are 1-0 in the lead in this best of 5. Just 2 wins away from going into the summer promotion tournament, where you have to feel they'll be playing the team that finishes last in playoffs. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that right now, because NIP, no one wants to choose them, and I think Cloud9 Eclipse will be the second choice for everyone.
I think so too. I think that is going to be the most likely option. And from what we've seen so far, Reason Gaming and Denial are much more evenly skill matched. We'll get to that in a second, as I just want to highlight the fact that in 4 of Denial's games that we've seen thus far, they've gone for this tri-bush invade. It's very reminiscent of Millennium, actually, now that I think about it. Millennium always had a level 1 that they tended to play. It was very similar for multiple games back-to-back, and Denial have done this a lot. If Reason Gaming position themselves correctly, or they have champions with a little bit of a stronger level 1 power, you could contest, you could try to set it up. In this case, Denial just gets some early vision and then back away.
Yeah, early vision down for them, and actually there was a blue ward there on that red buff as well. We can see that Trashy is actually switching over here and is going to be headed off towards his red buff start. Senkook's just watching out and guarding the ramp entrance onto that red buff area. So red buff start as well over on the other side of the map for Denial on the top side, and actually Kale Lucian here are hanging around by blue. Whether they're going to have a go at that one and we'll see Xin Zhao cross over remains to be seen.
I think that was more of a defensive positioning. Yeah. I think just making sure that Reason Gaming didn't actually invade their blue. The one thing I do want to see how this lane plays out, because Vayne Karma versus Lucian Kale is not a matchup that we're super familiar with. You don't see this all that often. And I feel like the lower lane threat of Kale during the opening levels of the game may afford Crystallin's Vayne some time to farm up, may give him just a little bit of safety in that lane. And we'll see if he can take advantage of it by farming effectively, because we all know Vayne does struggle in the laning phase. She's not a bully. She's meant to be one of those sort of duelist 1v1s later on with the Blade of the Ruined King.
And what a duelist she is if she gets to that scenario as well. Mid lane, of course, LeBlanc versus Nidalee. Both of them getting through this time around, and Nidalee having a very good success rate. In fact, 100% success rate, if my mind serves me correct. I don't think NIP played that at all yesterday, did they? No. So, had 100% success rate so far, and if we're going off stats, Denial got this in the bag.
There's a reason why...
A little bit early to say that.
Well, you know, statistically, I think you're right to make the call, but I feel like there's a reason that Nidalee is banned so often, especially at the LCS and taken away. The The heal is absolutely massive. We've seen in that previous game just how much damage, you know, Reason Gaming all in denial. The heal came out from Nidalee and from Kayle as well, and all of a sudden, all of that effort, all of that work had just been completely scratched away.
Especially when you've got double summoner heal as well.
Yeah, talking about that, we do have the same summoner spells last game with the exception of top laners. They've swapped out their teleports for Ignite, so we are going to be seeing I imagine jungle presence to both of these solo laners, as you want to get your Renekton or your Jax going ahead. You want your Jax ahead further, because Renekton has tools to get himself ahead by himself as a champion.
Just going in there a little bit, on towards Nick. He's not having too much trouble with him. Falling a tiny bit behind on this one, much because of the damage that can come out there. Barney D also being forced back here. Crystalline just above half HP. And Woolite will be quite happy with this lane, you know, that constant heal. I say constantly, it's obviously a pretty big cooldown from Kayle anyway, but pretty much constant heal that he's got here to keep this lane phase going.
Yeah, the longer the laning phase goes without any poke, obviously the advantage is going to fall to denial as far as HP is concerned. I think, though, in terms of all-in power, because of the poke from Karma and the fact that she's got a root, it's going to allow Crystalline to get those silver bolts damage down and maybe set up a good condemn into the wall. You combine the root and a stun, and that's going to be a dead bottom lane member. They're going to jump on Binzu, and the stun does connect.
Stun connects, but I think that Kick is too far away from this one. He snuck in there nicely, but Binzu using that slice and dice to his full advantage to get away. We did see a little bit of back and forth from Woolite and Super A's in the bottom lane. That's because they did spot Trashy coming down there. So Trashy, early on in game number 1, actually helped them secure those first couple of kills. Did really well to get in. Actually, Kick is here, coming back in towards his top lane. Binzu this time is going to go low. There's a flash, but he flashes perfect time in there. Doesn't get stunned up by the counter-strike. If that would have happened, could have been a different story.
The problem is Binzu now doesn't have that flash if Kicker sticks around. You can see Kicker, he's toying with the idea. He knows that the Crocodile doesn't have the flash to get away. And we've seen in the previous game how effective it is to gank a lane that doesn't have that summoner available. Senkuk's playing very aggressive against Nidalee, as we were expecting. He's got a small CS lead, and as Senkuk's is about to hit level 6, that kill pressure goes up even higher, assuming he's got the mana pool.
Down on the bottom, we are going to see him coming condemn against the wall there onto Super A's. Once again, it's Trashy moving in there, and there is the damage coming in towards Kayle, who's going to have to use his summoner heal and spend up pretty much his entire mana to get him even close to healthy again.
So one of those heals is now blown, which now puts the advantage obviously in favor of Reason Gaming, but you've seen the condemn. The angle was a little bit off. Had Kristen got better positioning, they could have stuck Kayle a little closer to the wall, to his team, and that could have allowed them to get first blood. Regardless, Kayle so far is only 4 CS behind, thanks in part to the lower threat that this Kayle offers her. So decent CSing and doing a pretty good job so far.
42 to 46 there. Crystalline will be happy to stay even. If he can keep this one even, maybe grab a kill here and there, he'll be quite happy with how this one goes. They've both hit level 5, so got that XP advantage. And well, that needs to be careful here, as the Silver Bolt's going to come in. That's a lot of damage coming out from Reason. Yeah, really good poke. Barney D using his ultimate, the mantra, those soul flares, and Crystalline is playing super aggressive. We talked about how the kill threat is a little bit more in favor of this Vayne and Karma, thanks to the Silver Bolts and thanks to the CC. And thanks to the poke. And it does look like Reason are playing this one very, very well. They can't afford to stay too deep. They're going to rely on Summoner Heal. Oh, that was a great condemn, but is the heal going to come in? Super A's actually not got any mana. Summoner Heal is there for Woolite. Summoner Heal was used already for Crystal. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Babunia is going to go down. The Ignite that you talked about earlier on being the first blood pickup here for the top lane, and well, great start. 2 games in a row that Reason Gaming have secured first blood off the back of a Trashy gank, and it was again against Babunia. This time, slightly different circumstances. I think you've got a much more aggressive top laner, so they're going to be going at it even more so than that Irelia and the Rise, which tended to just be a trade, runaway trade kind of situation. But advantage Binzu, and he needs to make it count. He's got a pickaxe already. We're expecting him to go for a Tiamat, probably as his first item. Gonna push, gonna be very aggressive, and may pull kickers towards him over and over. Again, some time to free farm in the mid lane, as we did actually see Xenix go back, and it's going to come in almost with that Fiends and Holy Grail finish. Got the Fiendish Codex and got his Chalice in there as well. Similar over the other side, but not quite the Fiendish Codex finished off for Nyx Nidalee. And we are going to see the first blue buffs as the game as well being given over to the mid laners.
Yeah, so Kikis has already got that Wriggles Lantern completed. He's working towards that Feral Flare, as we have been talking about extensively. We'll see how effective it is for him. Yesterday, the Zinza was very good. Babunia's got a level down, but he's got some good damage. Thanks to that Counter-Strike, he's actually held Beanzu in place long enough to come out ahead in that trade.
Yeah, level 6 here. We'll see how aggressive he actually decides to play this one. Again, triple Doran's items. All the brews on the top side as Senkux is going to come around, and there is his blue to match up to that of Nick, who took that one earlier on. This bottom lane, let's have a look down there. We see obviously Vayne headed up towards that Blade of the Ruined King, got the Cutlass in there. On the other side, BF Sword picked up for life.
Now what I like about this bottom lane for Crystalline and Barney D is the fact that they have tools to deal with everything. They have a shield, they have a movement speed, they have CC. There is an engage in the top lane, and it looks like Beanzu's dead.
Yeah, Beanzu is going to die from that one. And again, it was Kiki sneaking into the top lane brush that really got that one for them. And that's the thing with Jax, with that Counter-Strike and Leap Strike combo, you've got to be so careful if he times it on the third hit, as well as we are going to see Woolite throwing down the Culling. Crystalline down to half HP. Woolite going to dash forward, but he gets a lot of damage back there from Barney D. They're going to have to back off.
Yeah, the culling was so good. I think almost every single bullet connected. Now that Nick has roamed himself to the bottom, they're going to push on their tower. Now, in terms of this top lane, that looks like just a straight bait outplay.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, Beanzu went aggressive. He thought he had the support of Trashy, hadn't taken into the fact that Kikis was there. And first tower of the game taking so much damage here by Denial. Super Ace is going to back away thanks to the minion wave not being there.
And with a threat of Spears just thrown in there, you can't stand and hold on to that one. I mean, even if you take a turret hit or two there, Denial, they've got 2 heals in that bottom lane. Actually, they've got 4 really, because the 2 summon heals as well.
Yeah, there's so much sustain on the side of Denial. It's quite an interesting composition that they've got. You want Jax and Zinza running in. Oh, Kikis has found Trashy. It's a good cocoon. They're going in.
Kiki's going to dive in for this one, as we are going to see Nick coming in. Spears landed. Trashy's down. Senkux comes around as well, but he's missed his leash. He's going to have to distortion away. Another spear comes in. Doesn't quite land. Tried to save his teammate, but that will be Denial taking the kill lead at 2-for-1, and that gets us Zinzao rolling.
Trashy was just out of position there. Trying to counter jungle. He didn't have the most vision, and you know, he started that fight. He jumped onto Kikis first, may have underestimated the distance between himself and Senkux, because Senkux just did not go in for that one, didn't back him up at all. Now, when we return to our top lane, they're even on CS, they're even on kills and deaths, so they're doing pretty well. But as it stands, Babunia is just having a better trade. His counter-strikes are well, he's forcing those empowered attacks onto Beanzu's Renekton and making his life very difficult.
He's playing basically an aggressive Jax game here. Every opportunity that he gets on that third strike, he leaps in there and does the damage to him, and that's causing a few problems. He's got that Vamp Scepter now as well, so he can sustain nicely in that lane. We'll see how much Renekton and Beanzu can actually hold on to him then. We see Dominus having to be popped there to try and gain some back.
Yeah, and of course, as we already touched on, that is just the level 1 Dominus. It has been reduced in effectiveness. Old Dominus gave you 300 health and 40 damage per second. Now it's only 200 health and 30 damage per second. So gives himself a little bit of sustain. He's back up to as near to max as you can get. And remember, he was traded down very low. So luckily for him now, he can actually stick around and keep farming.
Yeah, let's see how Babunia plays this one. Again, Vamp Scepter, we'll see if he decides to go aggressive or whether he's quite happy with this. And as we see, just dive straight in there with Counter-Strike running. Beanzu has to back away, and as soon as he comes back in, Babunia just turns around and does the damage again.
It's actually a very good matchup. You're noticing every time Babunia gets some damage down, Beanzu is responding with his abilities well. He's timing his slice and dices. The moment the Empowered Strike is about to land, you actually see Beanzu trying to channel that stun of his own and preventing Babunia from getting it down. So it's an interesting matchup, but as it stands, you have to feel Jax is going to scale better, and they're currently sitting even on CS.
Oh, this could be bad news for him, though. He does...
He senses it.
Yeah, he's got a ward. He's got a trinket anyway. He senses it with the ward.
The ward.
What's down there?
I didn't see Trash's
It's basically
head.
the senses. Vision is a sense as well. Did spot him coming in there. Actually, Kiki's coming down towards the mid. Senkook's here. Gonna just move straight away from that one. Doesn't want to have a bit to play. And Kiki's got himself Hex Drinker in their boots as well. We saw yesterday how effective Xin Zhao is in his early stages of the game if he gets off to a good start.
Yeah, and because of the power of that Audacious Charge, which has been max first, that's the E from Xin Zhao, it's got a much more powerful slow and a lower cooldown. So he's going to be relying on the hard CC of Jax as his primary initiation tool. When you look at the crowd control levels on Denial, it's not that strong, and Senkook's not really connecting with those ethereal chains as you might like.
And here comes Kikis once again. The problem is it's LeBlanc. So hard to lock down. As Baboonia finally going to be chasing here by Binzu. Counter-Strike comes up. He's got the stun. Has he got the damage? Ignite is going down onto him. Is it enough to finish him off? Yes, it is. Brilliant from Baboonia. And now they're going to kill Chrislund. Nothing they can do about that. And just like that, 2 kills coming down in a matter of seconds. Baboonia went back home, picked up Tiamat. No, he didn't TP. He doesn't have TP. He walked back to top lane and went straight into fight once again. And he was just far too overconfident.
On the same token, Barney D just disappears from the lane. He went to go ward up the river, and the moment Barney D was gone, you've seen Woolite and Super Ace committing. You've got the Relentless Pursuit from Lucian, which is a nice dash. In conjunction with the movement speed increase from Super Ace, it just allowed them to get onto Vayne and overpower it. That was a 2v1 that they won clearly. Now, we do see Reason Gaming. They are trying to defend this bottom inner turret. While that's going on, the rest of Denial are pushing some pressure on the mid lane. That's Kikis and Nick, and they're going to get a lot of damage on this tower.
Yeah, I mean, the vision was already there to see him coming in. For me, you're never going to catch the Kale and Lucian. And we see Senkook's here using Distortion. Kikis actually diving in. Cocoon is going to land, and Kikis is going to go down. Senkook gets that one back, and now they turn on towards Nick. There is Trashy coming in. Can he get another Cocoon off here? Nick is going to try and dodge away from this one. Turret comes out, flashes away from the Cocoon.
Yeah, but now there's minions here for Reason Gaming to work with. So 1 kill for the tower means somewhat advantage to Denial, gets instantly balanced out. So Reason Gaming will come away in a better position right now. They've got an additional kill, and they've got Super Ace.
Yeah, Super Ace going a little far too forward there. He's going to use intervention on himself, but he's going to have to flash to get back behind the turret on this one. And taking far too much damage on that, and I have to give it to Reason. I thought they were going to end up getting nothing on the bottom side and possibly losing that mid lane turret. In the end, they rotated fast enough to the mid lane to get the kill onto Kikis, save their tower. That's a lie. The tower went down, but they got the enemy tower as well.
So what we're seeing from both of these teams in both of the games in the series so far is individual decision-making and over-aggression is what's costing. You know, I don't really understand why Kikis tried to dive onto Senkook's in the first place, or it's Trashy in that mid lane. He overcommitted past the tower. The tower hadn't been killed yet. And because he overcommitted, he gave up the kill. Then thanks to him giving up the kill, when the rest of Denial fell back, they didn't have the numbers to defend their own tower. Had Kikis been a little bit more cautious, he could have been there with his team, maybe held on to that mid turret himself. Now they're diving Binzu.
Yeah. Stun comes down on him. He's not going to get away from that one. Here comes LeBlanc around the side, though. They did get the knock up. There was Elite Strike from Baboonia to get away as well. Senkook's couldn't stick around too long on that front. And they get that 1 kill for 0. Tower kept alive by the presence of Senkook's. But again, a good move from Denial.
So at the end of the day, the dive works out, and they're still trying to get Baboonia even more fed. He's got 2 kills so far. He is slightly ahead in terms of CS, and you have to feel that Denial want that Jax most likely to try and counter that Vayne if at all possible. Try to leap on him, stun him up, and force him away from the fight. I feel like a Vayne can outplay a Jax in terms of a duel 1v1 with a Blade, with a Condemn, but as long as Baboonia is keeping Vayne busy, the rest of Denial can try to shut down Reason's team fight and then focus Vayne together as a unit. And I think that's the game plan. We'll see how it plays out as more towers drop. Right now, with only 3 towers down, there hasn't really been a lot of rotations for more objectives.
I'll look down some of the CS here as well. Not really touched on that one. AD carry role in advantage of Denial. Probably as you'd expect with the Vayne's weaker laning phase from that one. Mid lane is bang even. Top lane, Baboonia doing a really good job on this one. Dragon, of course, is live and available. Reason Gaming in position to have a go at it, but we are going to see Denial coming in for this one. They don't want to give this one up for free. Dragons at half, and Reason have backed away. They leave this one for now. There is Kikis going in. He's going to be able to smite that one away, and Reason know that they just can't fight there.
Reason did not want to pick a fight because all of their damage is single targets. The damage that will kill somebody. LeBlanc's going to jump on you and try pop you with those Sigils of Silence. Vayne needs to jump on you and get multiple auto attacks down. If they jump onto someone, Intervention instantly going to counter that, and then you've got that Crescent Sweep from Xin Zhao to make a team fight advantageous for Denial. That is why Reason decided to back away from the pit, play it safe. Reason need to find a pick, and it might be on Trashy.
He's in some real trouble from this one. Spear actually comes across the side there, repelled nicely away from, and it's actually Bean2 that goes up towards the front. Here comes LeBlanc as well. Lucian hardly taking any damage from that. They're going to try and turn it around. Sinjo is in there. The Culling comes out as well. Good exhaust and a condemn will stop Kikis from chasing in too far. Barney D is there as well to get the slow onto them, and Reason back away to that mid lane.
So a lot of ultimates invested and moves back and forth, and it's just that little strategic game the teams play. They almost got Trashy down, but thanks to his repel, he was able to avoid a lot more damage, and there was support from Reason to save him. Now, the rest of Denial have grouped up on this inner turret. Senkux is looking for a pick from the side. He's going to be in trouble.
Well, he might just get taken down himself there, indeed, as they push straight in. There is the damage coming back. The Mimic is going to be popped. Can they finish him off? No, not quite. Here comes the rest of Reason, though. Woolite, is he going to get knocked against the wall? That was very dangerous how close he went. I don't know why he didn't try and condemn him at that point. Either way, they've got the middle inner turret, and Babuni is running right on the top lane. He's taken down turret number 4.
So a nice swinging gold for Denial. They are playing the map game a lot better. It took them a while in game 1. It took them more time to begin sieging and to begin challenging those towers. But now, at 20 minutes on the board, they're pushing in multiple stages of the map, and they're forcing Reason Gaming to defend. If you look at Reason, the only wave clear that they have is a volatile Spiderling from Elise and those Mantra Inner Flames from Karma. There's no other safe wave clear. So you force them onto the back foot underneath a tower, and it means Reason Gaming's only option is to engage. And if they're engaging under Nidalee Spears and the Counter-Strike and the Crescent Sweep, all of a sudden Denial's got all the tools to beat them. So I think Denial should keep sieging, because Reason Gaming's defense comp is just not strong enough at this point.
No, nowhere near safe enough against Spears.
No.
And then you've got to factor in the culling. We saw how much damage it did in that last time around. We see Barney D here just waiting. Jack's trying to recall in the middle of the lane, or is he? Is he just trying to bait them out? Chrislam is going to get attacked. Blade of the Ruin King is going to be used. Shields coming down, but Babunia is doing all the damage. He's got the kill. 1 versus 2. No problem. Barney D speeds himself up as he realizes he's going to get closed in on. And now Nick and Senkux going head to head. Senkux actually backing away from this one, realizing that Kale was there as well. Babunia.
The burst damage.
He is playing very ballsy right now.
The burst damage was fantastic. He knew he was going to be able to win that trade. He's got a Blade of the Ruin King himself. He also had the Sheen built up. So in conjunction with his Empowered Strike and his ultimate, he just shredded through Kristen's HP. Kristen only had a Blade to work with. He had no additional attack speed, no crit chance from a Phantom Dancer, which is what we tend to see. And yes, Vayne is strong, but you're not that strong.
No, not
so.
Well, he figured, okay, Karma's here. I get my shields. You know, we can work this one out, but honestly, no. Babunia far too far ahead from that one and unable to chase him down. Babunia still played it well though. The leap strike there at the end, just before he got out of vision, was strong. But we see now Woolite actually is pushing this inner turret in the top lane. Trashy and Chrisland are there. This is a duo lane, and they're scared because they know they're going to have spears coming in. Nick is off towards the side. Here is Senkux going in, throws everything at Woolite. Condemn comes in. Intervention is there as well. Woolite doesn't have a flash or a heal, but he doesn't mind. Kikis dives in. There's the culling coming out. Who's going to take all the damage there? Chrisland just using his blade once again for that one. Actually, no, it wasn't. I'm telling a complete lie.
It's just become available. We do see Bees who's been jumped on.
I give up.
Chrisland right now is just not having any sort of impact. Tower's gone down. Kikis has found a target.
He is going to get locked up though by those chains of Senkux. Can they get in here from this one? Again, you have to feel it's all about Nick throwing those spears in. Senkux actually going to silence him from this one. He gets knocked towards the wall and flashes at the exact right time.
That was a great little moment. Nick got gifted a nice flash. They've jumped onto Woolite, and he's in trouble now. Or not.
Or not. He's going to get a kill, actually, because the spear comes around the side. Kiki's going to dive in once again. Is he going to get locked up? Trashy goes low, tries to get the execute. That doesn't work out for him. Meanwhile, Beanzu is being hammered away on by Babunia underneath the tower. Babunia doesn't care. As we said before in that top lane, he's now all alone down there. He's going to take the inner turret. They're going to take Baron as well.
Yeah, there's nothing Reason Gaming can do to contest this. Reason keep going in drips and drabs one by one. Nick, after getting away with his life, he flashed over the wall because he got close to that little alcove, and then he throws a spear up that turns at engage. The key that you want to look at is Nick's positioning. First of all, he's about to get knocked to that small little alcove. Had the stun landed, yes, that would have been a dead Nidalee, and this would have been so different. But that was so close. The beautiful thing is, after that happened, Reason felt they were in a good enough position to keep chasing. They were. One spear changed that entire theory. Nick was off on the side by the big white camp, throws out that javelin toss, finds a target, Denial get more kills, and I think they grab Baron as well. Yeah, so secure the Baron off the back. They got a 10,000 gold lead, a 7-kill lead, 5-tower lead. They are in complete and utter control.
And it's, again, we talk about it so often, when you see the likes of a Jax, or a Vayne as well, we'll give that over to Reason. If they get rolling and they get to that late game monster that they have the potential of being, it's rather scary. We saw there, Beanzu underneath his own turret got outplayed completely by Babunia. We saw 2v1 in the top lane. Vayne and Karma couldn't control the Jax in that situation. You have to wonder, how do you hope to team fight against a team like this that's got so much power?
I'll tell you right now, Reason Gaming cannot. What Reason need to do is find picks when Denial are not grouped up. Because even if Reason do get a advantageous position and get a lot of burst damage down onto a target, he's just immediately going to get caught by that intervention. If that is still not enough to save him,
heal.
Well, hell, summon a heal, Kayle heal, Nidalee heal. I mean, there are so many tools to keep targets up, and there's not enough AoE to burn through all that heal in single fights. You know, so right now, Babunia, he's got 3 members on him, and the rest of Denial are in the mid lane.
And is he possibly gonna kill Chris Lundia? No, he finally gets finished off. The shutdown coming in for Vayne. Well, the rest of the team come around. Well, that's gonna burst down one of them. They've already had that in-him turret away in the mid lane. The inhibitor itself will fall. Let's not forget, this is a Baroned up Denial right now, and they're just gonna surely rotate out to the bottom lane.
Yeah, that is hashtag worth if you've ever seen it. Babunia pulls 3 members towards him and allows Denial to grab the inhibitor. Super minions are now going to start streaming down the middle of the map. If they didn't have utter map control already, they're now going for a second inhibitor. Beanzu wants more.
This is a little bit risky from Kiki's. Woolite going to get caught out of position. The last second intervention comes out. The Culling rolling through as well. That's going to get Woolite the kill, and they can go in for inhibitor number 2. 2 men are dead here as well as they dive in once again. Trashy actually taking a lot of damage, and they're going to surrender. Surrender vote comes in, and that will be 2-0 this game to Denial.
Absolutely brilliant finish from Denial. Once they realized that their opponents could not deal enough damage to them as a group, they just stuck together from 16 or 17 minutes on the clock to the end at, what was it, 25 minutes. They just sieged. They roamed as a unit. They said, Babunia, you're OP, go deal with whoever you want, and the rest of us will stick together, keep our heals, keep our interventions, and they played brilliantly.
So I've got a question now, because you saw Mundo and Rise band away against Babunia. They left the Nidalee open. Nidalee had a big impact on the later game, at least. I mean, obviously, Senkook's in that laning phase wasn't having many problems with him, was ahead in CS for quite a while. But Babunia got out of control again.
I think one of the big threats of this game was that Nidalee. You know, we talked about it in the pregame. I probably would have thought a Rise and a Nidalee ban would have been good options, because the Nidalee gives you the option to siege. It gives you that massive heal underneath turrets, and we've seen it used multiple times to great effect. Had that been a different mid lane champion, that strategy could potentially not have been employed. You know, it could have weakened that mid game phase, which would have given Vayne time to scale, which would have given LeBlanc time to scale. And I think Babunia is a player that you can't ban out right now. I think he's playing very well. You've seen 2 bans targeted at him, and he's still crushed face.
So where do you put the bans then? I mean, if you're not going to ban him out, then you leave that Mundo open, you leave the Rise, and you give him basically a free choice in that top lane. Do you then focus in towards the mid lane? Do you get rid of that Nidalee? I mean, for me, Nidalee, again, I said it at the start of the game, predicted it correctly, of course. You've got nearly 100% win rate here in the Challenger playoff so far.
I think if you step back, yes, there are so many different options and routes you can go with banning strategy, but I think in this particular composition for Reason Gaming, they went too much for early game dominance with a LeBlanc, with a Renekton, with a Karma, and had banked on Vayne getting to a point where she could tear people apart. That didn't happen. I don't think any of those occurrences happening. I mean, Jax came out even on his lane, even with multiple ganks. LeBlanc didn't get kills in Nidalee. There was no real gank attempts, but that's a matchup that LeBlanc can win and didn't. The biggest problem for Reason, if they had wave clear, they would have had more tools to work with, but they didn't have a fully rounded composition, and that's what cost them when they fell on the back foot. They got ahead early, they got first blood again, but it doesn't transition to anything more, and that's where the problem's coming in.
Well, we shall see if they can fix that one. We need to take a quick break, guys, but when we do return, Denial looks to make it 3 wins in a row and lock down a spot in the summer.